Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Charles and today we're going to talk about some Nuclei commands to help you get started using this vulnerability scanner. In the last video, I've shared two basic commands, but if you have not seen it, then no worries. We're going to start from the very beginning, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Running a Nuclei scan is pretty straightforward and simple. All you need to do is open up a terminal. I have my Kali Linux terminal up and running, and we're going to use Nuclei as the first command, followed by -u. And we're telling Nuclei what target we're trying to scan. So this -u is telling us to scan google.com. What this will do is run a scan on the website based on the templates that are in the Nuclei template folder and provide you with any vulnerability or general information. Now, if the site has different port other than 80 or 443, then all you have to do is type that in. Let's say we are using MongoDB port. So we can do this right here. This is just an example. So what the scan is doing is that it's looking for vulnerabilities within google.com that is being hosted under port 27017. Doesn't necessarily mean that MongoDB is being hosted on this. There could be a different service. And it will look for vulnerabilities starting with that port. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next command. If you have multiple targets and you want Nuclei to scan off your list, then all you have to do is use the command nuclei-l. So before we get into what this means, this is generally as simple as it gets when it comes to running Nuclei scanner, right? One thing to keep in mind that I mentioned previously, we'll use Nuclei scanner to scan for thousands of known vulnerabilities because we really didn't define anything like give it a specific template to scan or provide a tag. So Nuclei is selecting its default option to run the scan and display the results. It's actually running through all the community developed templates that are relevant for that specific target. And there's about like 67,000 plus, or keeping me at 69,000 at this point. But some of these templates do get disabled only because it possesses a risk of DOS type of an attack or for fuzzing. And running those type of scan is also not the best way to do it. It's going through so many things and it's going to be time consuming, waste of time, waste of resource while you're doing bug bounty because you don't know what service is running. But if you know what services are running during your enumeration for services, you can actually give it a path, right? So that's where it comes down to. If you see it right now, I already have the -l list of targets, which is going to get, let's say, 10, 20s, hundreds even targets in that text file, and it's going to run through that specific path that I just gave it, which is like, it's in my desktop right now, but it's going through the misconfiguration folder and then Jenkins. It's looking for Jenkins vulnerability because that's what I asked it to check for. It's a narrow scan. It's going to run a lot faster, give you better results since you're targeting something specific for like some sort of misconfiguration or a vulnerability. Now, I want to say we're talking about MongoDB a lot, but let's do an example, right? -l is something where you use multiple targets. Now we're going to talk about -tags. I love using this in case I'm not sure if the template exists or not. I mean, I can search it in the folder too, in the search bar. But at the same time, I can use it during the scanner and see what it pulls and how many templates there might be based on the results that it returns. So what we can do is that we can actually provide that information. So let's go ahead and do so. I'm going to use an IP address that I've gathered from Shodan. I will blur it out because it's not something that we own, and it is a vulnerable one that I don't just list it out to the public because anyone can do any sort of things that, if it is not authorized, right? We don't even know if it's for bug bounty related or not, but it's out in the public. Anyone can see it. So let's go ahead and do that at the moment. So right here is what I'm telling is I'm giving the tag options, and I wrote down MongoDB to check and see if any sort of MongoDB service is running to detect it, try to enumerate any sort of information that I can possibly find, and provide that information back to us. This helps out even if you do it one time. I mean, obviously, if you're looking into, let's say, into Shodan, or while you're doing bug bounty hunting or doing your scan research and you want to see if it exists or not, you have multiple services that's on MongoDB, multiple IP addresses. This will help you out, speed up the process because it'll detect it for you. So I'll go ahead and I'll press enter. And it looks like my Nuclei is a little bit outdated. Probably, I think it's at a 2.9.5, which I need to update my Nuclei, but running fine on my end. So what you can see right now, I did blur out the IP addresses. just for security purposes. What you can see that it detected three things with the tags option. It detected that MongoDB, which is a high, the severity is high for that one, is unauthenticated. So it is telling us that it can detect it. It detects the MongoDB service without authentication. The second one has the info option to it, which is the part that is telling you that it did detect MongoDB on that particular port. And then lastly, the enumeration part. It's whatever it was able to enumerate on that particular MongoDB asset, the services, the information that it can gather. It was able to gather that particular information. So you see how valuable this is. It's a very good tool to use for your bug bounty hunting, or for pen testing, or anything that you're doing that you have permission doing so. It helps you out with trying to cut down that time and that resource, because you can use that time for something else, and it comes very handy. But that is it for this video. It was mostly the starting point for folks that haven't used Nuclei but have heard of it and is interested on getting started. We will dig a bit further on other commands possibly, so that by the end of the series you have an understanding of the commands better. But my favorite command is, as you can see, that is that dash tags. I do use other ones as well, but once I figure out what tag is being used, what templates are getting used with that tag option, it's very helpful. You might not necessarily get the same info that I've gotten, just because of how things are. What the asset you're scanning might or might not have. If it doesn't have anything, like if it's not unauthenticated, it can't enumerate anything, you're just gonna get a return back as like no results found. But with vulnerable assets, the templates are very good. In rare cases, you'll come across false positives based on keywords. That's how the script is running as well, and a lot of things. We'll go over one of the times with the scripts, and how you can write it, and possibly even go over what some of the scripts mean. But I don't know if I'll go through the whole template folders and what each scripts are. But if you're interested, let me know if you're interested on the template side of it, the template folders, what exists and what doesn't exist, right? And I can make a video on that too. But with that being said, if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more exciting content. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below as well. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.